On our prime decks this hour, China begins a clampdown on excess wealth in a bid to ensure what it calls common prosperity. We'll tell you more and hear from an economist on what this means for Ghana. Also, governing NPP hit hard at John Mahama, describing him as a walking embodiment of corruption after Mr. Mahama said the NPP government has handled corruption poorly.
Former President Mahama talks about corruption on his thank you tour campaign trail. He's asking Ghana to give him, John Mahama, the walking embodiment of corruption, the mandate to come and fight corruption.
Also here on Joy News Prime, residents of Fuvema in the Volta region resort to palm fronds and thatch to build their houses. They say it does not make economic sense to put up expensive or concrete buildings.
We are shifting from concrete to coconut branches because of the sea waves. Because if you build the house, the sea destroys. Nobody do anything for us.
And coming up in business.
Government sets targets to attract billions of dollars worth of private investment into the development of the Qatar port in the Volta region.
I'm informed that some companies have already expressed some interest in participating in the port development. I therefore look forward to the other private sector investors or interest in this project.
Charles Aite will bring us details. Joy News Prime is coming to you live from our Fanafar studios here at Kukumilimle, Accra. We're live on DSTV, channel 421, GoTV 144. This is the home of independent, fearless, credible and impactful journalism. I am Ernest Mino. Stay tuned in. Hello again, many thanks for joining us. The governing New Patriotic Party has described former President John Mahama as a walking embodiment of corruption who has no moral right to speak on the phenomena. The former president, at the end of his thank you tour of Ghana's 16 regions, held a lecture at which he castigated government for what he said was the poor handling of corruption in the country. Now, the former president cited the PDS scandal and Mary, among others, as his evidence for what he said was the worsening corruption condition and the government of President Akufo-Addo. But speaking at a news conference to respond to the issues raised by Mr. Mahama in his speech, Director of Communications for the NPP, Yabu Abiansamwa, said John Mahama has no moral authority to speak to issues of corruption.
Former President Mahama talks about corruption on his thank you tour campaign trail. He's asking Ghana to give him, John Mahama, the walking embodiment of corruption, the mandate to come and fight corruption. His solution to fighting corruption in his critical actions paper of 2012 was that he would lead by example. That was his solution to fighting corruption. He will lead by example. This example, John Mahama, had to be investigated by his own president for doubtful aircraft procurements. Is implicated as government official one in the Airbus bribery scandal and signed off on a $1.2 billion to deliver a project, $1.2 billion to deliver a project eventually done for $4.6 million, a difference of 26,000% in savings. This example was swallowed by alleged organized judgment debt shenanigans. Yes, John Mahama can talk about corruption, but he has not the faintest inkling of integrity to combat it.
According to Yabu Abiansamwa, the NPP, although not a social democratic party, has done more social interventions than the NDC and questioned why John Mahama will claim that government has worsened Ghana's poverty situation.
He goes on to state that he's going to create 1 million jobs in the public sector. How is he going to fund those jobs? Has he so soon forgotten the public sector jobs do not turn a profit, but rather facilitate other sectors of the economy? Without clear revenue, how is he going to generate and pay 3 shifts of public sector workers? We have between 600 to 800,000 people we have a gap in salary payments for, and you want to triple it. 800 times 3 to 2.4 million in 3 shifts. How are you going to pay them? And you tell us you are going to create jobs in the public sector. In some ways, the near impossible promises show an unprepared John Mahama selfishly seeking your mandate by exploiting your current difficulties. The difficulties are real. The issues are real. Fuel prices are real. But John Mahama and the NDC are not the solution. The CDD post-election 2020 survey is very clear. All told, only 35% of the people surveyed voted for the NDC because of performance.
Now, on the economy, the former president had claimed that his tour of the nation showed a suffering people. But the NPP sharply disagrees and touts the Akufo-Addo government's achievement in the economic sector.
His suspect e-block accounting will be dealt with in other fora, but his record of signing onerous take-or-pay contracts and high-priced natural gas deals have to be exposed for the financial problems they continue to pose to the economy. His inability to fund fuel to run power plants protracted doomsday, causing havoc to businesses and social life, an admission he made to Parliament himself several times. His third favorite topic on the Thank You campaign tour is about current debt and how he was accused of borrowing excessively. Of course, if you borrow recklessly, you need to be told. His IMF journey was because of his inability to manage the dangerous territory into which he led our financial sector. He confessed in Parliament himself how recklessly the financial sector had been mismanaged, leading to major losses in savings, incomes, and jobs for banks and savings and loans financial houses.
Away from the NPP, the National Association of Law Students have described as unwelcoming the Attorney General's third option to the General Legal Council on the fate of the 499 students who are deemed to have passed but denied admission to the Ghana School of Law. The Attorney General, in a letter directed to the General Legal Council to admit the affected students, but offered them three pathways, including an option for the students to write another exam. But the association says the third option is not fair and not progressive. We'll speak shortly to the president of the association and get a reaction from Parliament. But first, my colleague Kweku Asante joins me via Zoom with details of the Attorney General's directive. Kweku, first, what are the first two options offered the General Legal Council?
All right, Ernest, very interesting option. The first option that was offered by the Minister for Justice to the General Legal Council is to grant deferred admission to the 499 candidates with effect from May 2022. We know that part of those who took the entrance exams have already started. And so the Attorney General's suggestion on this call was to grant them deferred admission to next year. But then steps were supposed to be taken to ensure that they graduate or get called to the bar at the same time with their colleagues who sat for this year's entrance exams. Okay. So that is the first option. The second is to grant admission to the entire 499 candidates with effect from November 2021, that is this month, and make provision for the organization of classes in a way as to be able to cater for the needs of the entire candidates of the Part 1 of the professional law program. Because also here we know that their colleagues have already started, and if they are supposed to start now, then some provisions must be put in place to ensure that they get at par with their colleagues.
So those are the first two, but does the third option not contradict the first and second options? Because if these students have passed and should be admitted, as the first and second option says, then why should the third option be to retake the exam, sit the exam again?
All right, so that is a contradiction. That is what these students are kicking against. There are few of internal contradictions in the letter itself, but the Attorney General seeks to almost make the point that these students have passed, and that is what informed the first and second option that he gave to the General Legal Council to admit these students. And so if the first two options are for these students to be admitted because they are deemed to have passed the exams, then why are we asking them to take another exams? Because if you are taking a reset, and this is usually a reset, it means that you have not passed and we are giving you another opportunity to take the exams again. And what will even inform that? Because the entrance exams has no pathway for a reset. So there are students who have already failed the exams who will not have any opportunity to take this exam again unless they wait for next year. So if you are saying that these students have passed, then why are you asking them to take the exams again? And that is why this third option seems to contradict the first and second option that the Attorney General gives the General Legal
And in
Counsel.
fact, this third option could deny some of the 499 students already who are deemed to have passed, deny them admission. But there's another issue with the Attorney General being a member of the General Legal Council, now advising the same council to do something which he will be part of in making the decision. So he's the Attorney General, but he's also a member of the General Legal Council. He now advises the council to take a decision. There seems to be an issue with that.
Right. So if you look at the Attorney General's letter to the General Legal Council, it starts by saying that the Attorney General is exercising his constitutional rights and his lawful rights to direct the General Legal Council because the organization forms part of his ministry. But then if you come to the options, then he switches and says, I'm advising you. And if you're advising someone, then it means they can either decide to take it or not take it. But if you're advising them, the Attorney General is a member of the General Legal Council. He is part of those who took the actions that have been impugned by the public that have come under severe criticism. And so the Attorney General is advising them to take these three options. He's supposed to sit in a meeting of this council to decide on these three options, which of them to take. So, for instance, if the Attorney General offered them only one option and said that admit the students, then that would have literally also been a decision of the General Legal Council anyway, because the Attorney General is part of the body. But now he's giving them three options. He's expected to go sit in the meetings to decide on which of these three options they are supposed to follow. Some of the internal contradictions that this letter has put out. But the defense has been that the Attorney General has a constitutional duty to play. And whether or not he is part of that body does not deviate from this role that he has to play. So the example is given that the Supreme Court is empaneled by the Chief Justice. It is his constitutional duty to empanel the court. If someone sued him in his personal capacity as a Chief Justice, he will still be the one to empanel the court. So he has that constitutional duty to play, but it has nothing to do with his membership of the council.
But on that note of constitutional duty, is it not interesting that the Attorney General starts by saying he's exercising his lawful powers to direct the General Legal Council, but ends up with, suggestions and inconsistencies in there. So he says the president has instructed him to intervene. Then he says he is based on what the law allows him to do, directing, which allows him to direct the General Legal Council. But then when it comes to the option, says he advises the General Legal Council. And the students are not quite happy with this.
Yeah, so you make a very interesting point. If you take a look at the letter, it quotes a part of what the president wrote to him. And what the president said was to the effect that these students should be admitted. And so if the president has directed the Attorney General to get these students admitted, the letter starts by saying that I'm directing you pursuant to the powers I have under the act that set up this organization. But ends up literally saying that these are suggestions, these are advice that I'm giving you. And of course, the Attorney General has been a part of the General Legal Council from the start. And so when they were taking all these decisions, he was supposed to be a part of it. And so some are even asking, why did he sit for the issue to get to this point before you come in or issue directives or advice as in this letter?
Kweku, thank you very much for bringing us those details in the letter, written by the Attorney General to the General Legal Council. Let's speak to the President of the National Association of Law Students, Asari Hassan. Hassan, thank you very much for your time here on Joy News Prime. You have issues with the third option. Why is that? I mean, these are avenues to hopefully get a number of you into the law school, as you've always been asking.
Thank you for the opportunity. Let me say good evening to your listeners. I think there is a portion of the letter that your colleague did not maybe take very good look.
Okay.
But it has to do with transparency and integrity of the process of admission. Transparency, integrity of the process of admission. The next one that I saw was then an advice with those three notices. Now, the question here is this. If the concern has to do with the integrity and the transparency of the admission process, without questioning whether or not the students passed, which indirectly, by the 1 and 2, you are saying they have passed, why do they have to write a third exam? And the third exam actually stipulates that it needs to be done within this month. We have 19 days to finish with this month. Again, the psychological trauma that we've gone through for the period, we might not be in the right frame of mind to sit for another exam and expect all of us to pass. But in any case, we have passed. So for me, Since it is just a directive or an advice to the GLC, we should wait for the feedback from the GLC, which I feel will come within a couple of days. Then we can look at the issue. But I think the third option is not something that is welcoming in that it will look like, indeed, you are saying we failed. But we know we did not fail.
Hassan, the clock is ticking and you have a lot of issues happening. There's the issue in Parliament, there's this letter, and you are also in court. What is your next line of action, really?
Our next line of action is to wait on the GLC since they've been directed to act, and I'm sure they'll act quickly. And right after that, we'll know which line of action to take. But for now, we are waiting because we feel another option when it comes to legalese has to do with ADR. There's always an alternative dispute resolution, which we feel this one seeks to actually take care of. So we'll explore that option and see the outcome, then after which we would decide on which way to go.
Thank you very much.
As I've indicated, the third is not welcoming, and it's not something that we are looking to get.
Hassan, I'm grateful that you could join us. That's Hassan Asari, a president of the Law Students Association, joining us on that latest development. Let's do some economics now. And China is one of Ghana's major trading partners. Its footprint can be found in almost every sector of the Ghanaian economy, with major investments that have a direct bearing on our growth. That is why developments in China could affect you. Now, China says it has dealt with poverty. That's a feat every country should be happy about. And yes, China is happy about this, but also concerned about the levels of inequality. The government is now introducing measures that will ensure wealth redistribution and clamp down on high incomes. On August 17, the Chinese president held a meeting with senior communist leaders in Beijing and explained his plan to achieve common prosperity. He called for excessive income to be, quote, reasonably adjusted. But what are the figures looking like? The Joy Research Desk pulled this from the World Bank website for us. And so we're looking at the poverty headcount ratio at national poverty lines in China. And so these are people who fall below the poverty line in China per the years that. And so in 2000, China had 49.8% of its population falling below the poverty line. Now, when you come to the year 2005, it came down to 30.2%. That is 2005. Now, you go down further to the year 2010. That is 5 years down the line. It goes down further to 17.2%. Now, it goes down even much further when you look at the year 2014. That is 7.2%. And then in the year 2020, now if you take 2019, which is the latest the World Bank gives us, that is 0.6%. But in the year 2020, China says it has dealt with, poverty. And so this figure should reflect when the website is updated to 0. And so China says it's dealt with poverty absolutely. But let's look at some of the indicators in terms of, for instance, the poverty headcount ratio between Ghana and China. We do a comparison. Let's do a comparison between Ghana and China so we appreciate this better. Now, in the year 2000, you have a figure of 49.8, which we brought to you, but the World Bank doesn't have figures for Ghana. Here's where the comparison begins. In the year 2005, China did 30.2%. Those are the people below the poverty line. Ghana, 31.9%. So pretty much around the same area, 30, 31. Now, 5 years down the line, in the year 2010, China drops to 17.2%. We do not have statistics for Ghana. But if you come to this year, which is 2012, Ghana goes down slightly to 24.4%. But what is China doing? China is doing 10%, 10.2%. Now, in this year, the year 2016, which is 4 years down the line, Ghana does 23.4%, slightly below, just a marginal drop from the 2012 figure. Ghana does 23.4%. But what is China doing in the year 2016? A massive drop to 4.5% in the year 2016. And that is very huge. And so that is what China is doing as per the poverty lines and how it's been able to reduce poverty drastically. Of course, we do not have the update for the year 2019 for Ghana. And the figures are in percentages. So just so you note, these are percentage figures we're bringing to you. But if you want to look at poverty, one way to look at it is through slums, slum dwellers, especially in the urban centers. Let's look at the figures for Ghana and China. Now, in the year 1990, Ghana was doing 65.5, China was doing 43.6. You come to this year, Ghana, that's 1995, Ghana drops to 58.8, China also drops marginally to 40.5. Ghana also drops to 52.1, and then China drops also marginally to 37.3. But let me go to the very end of this so you appreciate what has been done. Now, in the year 2014, Ghana drops to 37.9, but China drops to 25.2. And so, yes, Ghana has also been declining in terms of its slum dwellers in the urban areas, but China has done pretty well, extremely well, in terms of dealing with that phenomenon. Let's go on to the phone lines now and speak to Professor Ebo Texin, who is an economist and a senior lecturer at the economics department of the University of Ghana. First of all, explain to us how excessive wealth can be a problem or can be problematic in any economy.
Okay, thank you. Good evening to your viewers. When you say excessive wealth, being wealthy is not a bad thing. And if an economy has wealth, it's a good thing. It is the distribution of wealth that has some negative consequences. And I think that's where your question is being directed at. Because increasingly, even though China has reduced its poverty appreciably, there's also a wide disparity in terms of income distribution. We have the very wealthiest who own capital and are the ones that are owning the wealth in China, especially along the coastal China because of the trade that is going on along the coast. So what happens when only a few people have the wealth is that it has implications for the growth of the economy.
Okay.
In the sense that if the majority of people, especially those low middle income people, are poor and they are not doing very well and the disparity is against them, there's a fall in demand for goods that are produced in the economy. And because they demand the goods that are produced in the economy. So it's not a good thing. It also leads to a situation where the disparity goes into all social services, health, education, and all of that. And in some countries, it led to social strife, in the sense that those who are poor get poorer, and then at a point in time, people begin to rebel against the unjust society.
Okay.
So when wealth is in the hands of a few, it's not a good thing. And the income disparity has to become more even so that everybody partakes in the growth. And if you look at China over the years, China has been growing. China is now the trade hub of the world. So you should expect that the wealth that is being created out of that growth should be evenly spread. But it's in the hands of those who own capital. Labor is not doing too well in terms of wealth. However, there has been a reduction in poverty because of the fact that labor in China has been at the helm of production, and therefore people are earning incomes that are taking them above the poverty line. But yes, so it's the rich that are getting richer, and that is the problem.
But Prof, following the outburst of the president, we are learning of a surge in generosity among China's billionaires and tech giants. But some global investors have described the move as anti-capitalist and could have consequences. Do you agree with this?
Yes, it could. So what happens is that if the wealthiest are the ones that own capital, and they are the ones that are putting their capital to use, and in trade, there's a lot of competition, innovation, and all of that, and trade leads to growth. So if the wealthy are the ones who own the capital, and there is now a policy, whether it's direct or indirect, to get them, to punish them for being wealthy, it will serve as a disincentive at the highest level of wealth creation. And that could have some implications for the Chinese economy. Don't forget that even if the part of the wealth of the wealthiest are taken away from them to given to the poor, it will fizzle out into the economy. It will not even get to the poor. So I should think that it will have complications for the Chinese economy. What I expected them to do was rather to use taxes to tax the rich more and then use that revenue to subsidize the poor, especially in education, health, so that they can educate themselves and also move up the skill ladder and possibly into the fold of those who own capital. But I'm not too sure what the body language of the president. I think that he has to be very careful, even though I know there's a lot of control in China. If it disincentivizes the very wealthy, they might stop creating jobs. They might be content with what they have, and that might not work well for China.
Let's bring this home. China is now a giant in the global economy. How does these measures affect Africa and Ghana precisely?
I mean, if it does affect production in China, because those who own capital refuse to make good use of their capital because there's no point. There's no incentive for them to strive to go on to produce more. That would mean a reduction in production in China, and that will have consequences for the whole global economy, given that China is a major trading partner of almost every country in the world. So that itself is not a good sign for a country like Ghana, because China is now one of our trading partners. It will also mean that, and the other side of when you flip the coin, the other side is that supposing the wealth is taken from the wealthiest and given to the average Chinese person, if they demand our export, then that could also lead to a boost in our export. Don't forget our exports are mainly primary products, and it is low-income households that consume more of our agricultural primary products. So if that is the case, then it could be to our advantage in terms of exports to China. But I have this strong suspicion that even if there is a deliberate policy to take the wealth from the wealthiest and give it to the poor in China, I do not foresee it leading to a better outcome for the poor, rather than the precise policies that they've done over the years to get the poor out of poverty. It will take a while for the income distribution to become more even. And what they need to do is to give opportunities for the poor in terms of education, in terms of health, and in terms of giving them support, especially in agriculture, for them to become highly productive and also create their own wealth. They might not get as wealthy as those who are very wealthy, who are participating in global trade, but at least it will make the income distribution a little bit even. And for Ghana, in the worst case scenario, if it affects production in China, it will make our imports from China relatively much more expensive. And that will be the main impact that it will have on China. What it will do for Ghana as well, what you could see as a positive aspect, is that normally those who come from China to come to work in Ghana are those who are coming from inland China, where poverty is relatively much higher. So if the distribution is done fairly well for it to become more even, it will stand a tide in the migration of those people who come to do galamsey in this country, and that might help us a little bit.
Very interesting analysis there. Prof, kindly hold on for me. We want to look at Ghana's debt classification. Ghana's total expenditure is projected to hit 128 billion Ghana cedis in the year 2022, leaving a huge deficit of almost 40 billion Ghana cedis. With Ghana's rising debt stock and the current downgrade of Ghana's outlook from stable to negative by Fitch Ratings, it has become imperative to ask how the government expects to fund its projected budget deficit. We'll go into this with Prof shortly, but let's look at what the World Bank statistics says on this. And so you would see, and these figures, let me explain to you quickly. So we are looking at the year 2016, for instance. Now, Ghana's debt stock, as of this year, was 122.2 billion, and all the figures here are in billion Ghana cedis. Now, the component of this, which was external, is 68.8, and domestic debts constituted 53.4. This is for the year 2016. If you look at the year 2017, it went up. So our debt stock went up to 142.5 billion Ghana cedis. Again, the component of it, which was external, 75.8, and then the domestic constituted 66.5. Now, it went up again in the year 2018 to 173.1. If you look at the composition here, you have 86.2 external, 86.9 domestic. So you see a marginal change where we owed more on the domestic level as compared to the external level. But our debt stock went up again in the year 2019 from 173.1 billion Ghana cedis. It went up to 218.2 billion Ghana cedis. Now, when you look at the composition, the external constituted 121.7 and the domestic 105. So the story reversed in terms of the component. It also went up further again in the year 2020. And in the year 2020, you see that the domestic composition went up. We owed more on the domestic front as compared to the external. So we had 149 for domestic debt, 141 for external. And then for the year 2021, it shot up further to 334.6. So Ghana's debt stock has been rising steadily. And for the year 2020-2021, you see that we are owing more on the domestic front. Professor Ebo Texan, how does this come to you, especially when we have a budget deficit? How is government going to fund this? How should government navigate this as we approach the budget presentation next week?
I mean, there's no doubt that over the years, we have seen a drop in our domestic our revenue, tax revenue, as a percentage of GDP, and that has also led to the fact that we're running budget deficit. But what led to this upsurge in our debt has been the COVID, and there's no doubt. Almost every country in this global economy is facing huge budget deficits that will feed into their debt. So I normally want to look at the debt without the COVID impact, because these are not normal times. But for what is worse, if our debt to GDP ratio was relatively lower, maybe the COVID would have sent us into the levels that we are now. It is reassuring that after we signed the Fiscal Responsibility Act, last year, that is 2020, we are projecting to have a deficit of less than 5%, and then COVID shot it up to over 30%.
Yeah.
This year, we are expecting to have a budget deficit of 9.5%, all in the expectation that the economy will recover as soon as possible, so that we can raise enough revenues and then close that gap. So for me, I think that our concern more should be on how we can improve on domestic resource mobilization in the interim. For the budget deficit, the government will find a way of raising it anyway. I suspect that it might be more from the domestic credit market. It might not necessarily cut out the private sector this time, because interest rates are low, the treasury bill rates are low, so it will still leave some space for the private sector. So for me, I think that the government should look inward to borrow. The external borrowing in foreign currency is a toll on our economy, because when our cedi depreciates, it means that we take more cedi equivalent of our revenue to make interest payments. And I think that we need to refocus and re-strategize so that we look more inward for whatever support we want. But over the years, if you are able to, I mean, with the Ghana card coming on stream, I heard the Vice President, His Excellency Mahmoud Bawumia, say that we're going to take advantage of the Ghana card. If you're able to boost our revenues, maybe above 18% for the next year, and look within the next 2-3 years, getting it slightly above 20%, I think that it will bring down our deficit, and then it would also free some fiscal space for us to be able to expand our economy, so that over time, our debt to GDP ratio will fall within acceptable and comfortable limits. We shouldn't get too much anxious about the debt to GDP ratio in these times. I think that what we need to ask ourselves, what are the plans in place for us to reduce the budget deficit? What are plans in place for us to reduce the debt to GDP ratio? And if our economy is being expanded for us to be in a position to pay our debt more conveniently than it is currently. So for me, I'm not too much worried about the debt GDP ratio.
Very well, Prof. Thank you very much. That's Professor Ebo Teksin, an economist and senior lecturer at the Economics Department of the University of Ghana. And the data we brought to you was pulled by the Joy Research Desk from the World Bank. You're watching Joy News Prime with me, Ernest Mino. Coming up in business, government sets targets to attract billions of dollars worth of private investment into the development of the Qatar port in the Volta region.
I'm informed that some companies have already expressed some interest in participating in the port development. I therefore look forward to the other private sector investors or interest in this project.
And you're welcome to business. I'm Charles Aite. Government has set a target to attract billions of dollars worth of private investment into the development of the Qatar port in the Volta region. According to the Transport Minister, Kwaku Ofori-Asiamah, feasibility studies have revealed that the first phase of the project will cost about $650 million. He, however, expressed concern that government alone could not fund the future seaport of Qatar, which is expected to become the country's third port platform after those of Tema and Accra. He spoke at the stakeholder engagement on the project organized here in Accra.
I'm pleased to report that the findings of the feasibility studies are positive. The study shows that the project is very viable. However, it is a fact that the project of this nature are highly capital intensive and government on its own may not be able to finance it all. We are gathered here today for this market sounding event because of our commitment and belief in the private sector to support government. And this is the way that we want to finance this project. I want to lay emphasis that the involvement of the private sector is to bring the needed capital, expertise and efficiencies to the delivery of this project. I am informed that some companies have already expressed some interest in participating in the port development. I therefore look forward to the other private sector investors or interest in this project.
Well, the board chair of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, Isaac Osei, says concerns raised by indigents of Qatar in the project will be factored in to provide a win-win situation for all stakeholders.
Our plan is to ensure that no interested party or stakeholder is left out as we get into the subsequent phases of this project. Hence, our determination to ensure that your inputs are captured and incorporated into what we have. Today, we will be sharing with you findings of the feasibility study which has been conducted on the Port of Qatar project, as well as some of the things that have been done behind the scenes. As an authority, we are not oblivious of some of the issues and concerns that have come up from sections of the populace.
Away from that, Ghanaian sculptor Constance Swanika has called for radical decisions to address the high unemployment situation in Ghana. According to her, graduates are so much engrossed in theoretical studies that's making them not ready for the job market. Speaking at a meeting between Design and Technology Institute DTI and a delegation from Massachusetts Institute of Technology, she called for more practical sessions in tertiary institutions and also called for a review of Ghana's educational policy.
Research shows that a concerted effort for much more primary and secondary education, combining national and international forces, appear to be the most promising route to reduce poverty and move towards sustainable development. However, founder of Design and Technology Institute, Constance Swanika, believes there should be an educational reform to include more practical lessons to better equip graduates for the job market.
I would blame academics. I went through university when industry attachment was not part of the curriculum. How do you expect me to transition into work when I don't know what it looks like? So look at the way we even transition our young people into work. I see that the academic institutions actually a lot of problems. But industry trends are changing so rapidly that there's the need for the curriculum to be living and to also adapt to the demands of industry. So if every 2 years we need to change the curriculum, and I think that the whole country understands that this whole job employment situation would require some radical decisions.
Director General for Ghana Standards Authority, Professor Alex Dodu, also called on government to set standards to certify professions. According to him, certification boosts the confidence of people and reduces over-reliance on government jobs.
We have a lot of our young men into the digital space. How do they trade with the world? They need the standards, they need to be certified, and they need to trade with confidence. And then the people we call informal sector, the people who actually drive the economy, they need recognition from the state that the work they are doing is genuine, is consistent, is reliable. Yes, they need skill sets. Yes, they need training. But when you provide all this and you provide a scheme which brings them onto the ladder, they cannot bid for government job. They cannot apply for contracts from GSA, from anywhere. That is the way to unlock their potential and create jobs.
Design and Technology Institute and a delegation from Massachusetts Institute of Technology had a meeting to explore opportunities, share ideas, and explore potential collaboration between both institutions, particularly in the areas of entrepreneurship and job creation.
And that'll be all for business. We have sports coming up. Do stay with us.
Thanks for joining me for sport. I am Hans Mensah, and Ghana's hope of making a fourth FIFA World Cup appearance hangs in a balance after a 1-1 draw with Ethiopia at the Orlando Stadium on Thursday afternoon. With just a game to spare, the Black Stars are level on point with Bafana Bafana of South Africa, who are currently leading Zimbabwe by a 1-0 at half-time. Skipper Andre Ayew put the Black Stars ahead with an expertly taken free kick in the first half, but Ethiopia snatched the equalizer in the second period after a defensive blunder. Now, with goal difference being the tiebreaker, Ghana still has a mathematical chance of qualifying, but we'll need to better South Africa's goal difference. And head coach of the Black Stars, Milovan Rajevac, is confident the Black Stars will make it to Qatar despite the team's unconvincing performance this afternoon in the Ethiopia game.
First, I want to congratulate to my boys for fighting very hard. We were expecting tough match today, and I want to congratulate the Ethiopian team for really good performance today. They deserve this result. We had some problems in the defense, especially today. We made some mistakes, so after all, everything will be decided on Sunday. So for us, it's important to win our next match on Sunday with 2 goals difference if we want to qualify for the final round of the qualifications for the World Cup.
And that'll be all for this installment. In the second installment, we'll bring you a special feature on Accra Heart of Folk as they turn 110 years today.
Time now for showbiz, and Noella Karinyale is here. I had to fix this well so that Honorable doesn't just ask me.
How are you doing?
I'm good. Yourself?
I love your monochrome.
My best?
Yeah, it's
Thank
great.
you.
Black and white. Smart.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's begin with late legendary musician Anampedu, because the president, through his communications director, has made it known that he will be given a state burial.
Okay.
Because he's done so many things, so many honorable things for the country, and deserves a befitting, honorable farewell.
The president has also taken the decision to honor the late legendary Ghanaian highlife musician Anampedu with a state-assisted burial in honor of his services to the growth of Ghanaian music. Now, this information will be duly communicated to the family of the late singer, and a befitting burial ceremony will be held for this noble son of Ghana.
That's good to know, because over the
right.
weekend when Musica had the events, there were calls for...
Yeah, it was Musica and collab. No, it was the family, his family members in collaboration with Musica. They did an event to celebrate his life
and some of his colleagues called for that, and so, good news.
That's right. But away from that, let's talk about his colleague musician, Amachi Dede, the Iron Boy, because he visited the Joy Studios today. Had, had a conversation with Kojo Youngson and Wing Sting on the Super Morning Show. And he hinted on a song he's collaborated with Sarkodie on, and he intends to release that song pretty soon.
I'm trying to come out with Sarkodie.
Really?
Yeah. We've done a nice, beautiful music.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, which will be out maybe it won't take too long.
Wow. What was that like, working with Sarkodie?
Oh, you know, Sarkodie, nobody will say anything bad against him. He is very good, very kind, and very respect. He respects everybody. So, in fact, everybody likes him. So
wow.
Working with him wasn't bad at all. It was good.
Can you sing us one line?
Just one line. Just one line. Abranti.
Oh.
Just one line.
Just one.
Just one.
Udiare wajame. One more safe for swimming. Anke ati sajuya. Kense say ye fe anu. Ani jeni akrokre. Imu biara anyo fedi ha. Ondo kayo then Sarkodie.
Hey! I like that.
That sounds like one of his songs.
His old classics.
Is it like a remix?
I don't know. I guess we'll have to see.
Because the last line sounded very familiar.
Ondo kayo.
Exactly.
Yeah, it also, resonated with me. But anyway,
how old were you?
Please. Don't do that to me. And
let's not go there.
Let's not go there, exactly. But let's now talk about Shatta Wale. Because he has been sharing with my colleague Ibrahim Ben back home a vision he had in jail. And in that vision, he said, everything that's happening now around the IGP, the IGP meeting with religious leaders, meeting with creatives, he saw in that vision whilst he was in jail. Wow. Also, he explained why he had to kneel down and ask the IGP to allow celebrities be themselves so they can, explore show business.
Okay.
Pastor, I'll come to your church because I want to say confidently that it's because of me that's why all these things is happening. Because what I've never told anybody, and because you are my good friend, I'll tell you, I saw a vision of the IG sitting with religious leaders, talking to them about this prophecy thing. And that is why whatever happened to me, going to jail and everything, you don't see that I'm worried about it, don't you? Because I'm so happy. Like, my spirit has been... One way in jail, I told him, I had this pain behind me, but on Sunday, we woke up and I said, it's like something has been solved. When we came out on Monday to the court and everything, that was where I saw IG with the religious leaders. I was like, yo, bro, this is what I saw in my dream. And so, I'm happy you have said this, and God bless you for seeing the direction of where this is coming from. I thank the IG so much that at least I've also sacrificed my life for him to get some ideas to bring things together like this and solve the problems that we have to solve in this country, because it's too much of Nana Akufo-Addo and Mahama, like, for them to solve problems. We need men like this in the system to solve our problems. IG has never done anything wrong. Sending me to jail even gave me more fans.
Knelt down and pleaded to the IGP on behalf of the entertainers that we should be allowed to live our lives. What lives are you talking about?
For us to be who we are. For instance, Shatta is a musician, but when I dress like this to a place, somebody might see me and say he's a rascal boy. Meanwhile, I have properties, I'm taking care of people, we are paying school fees, like we are doing orphanage homes programs, like a whole lot of things that man is doing, but because of the way I look, somebody would think, oh, this guy, I'm going to see you as an green bina. It's the primitive culture of ours that we need to change, because now technology has grown so fast that it's the kids. And when IG was talking, he was like, sometimes the kids even show us, the other Mr. Wano or something. Yes. He was talking about, what the kids even show. Sometimes you want to download a song, you call your children. We should learn, because we respect our elders, but our elders should also learn to respect that this is our time. Because the things that are happening right now, the kids are showing us. We don't know it. So I believe they should give us that chance to live that, artistic life. Because me like this, I can't pretend. Like, I can't say because it's IGP, I have to wear coat and tie and look very, I feel like, no, IG knows who I am,
Well, we thank God for revelations.
Right.
But then again, you are free to be whoever you want to be once it's within the remit of the law.
Okay, yeah, that's right. Yeah. But let's now talk about our very own Nathaniel Attor.
Yeah.
Hold on. So I know him as a sports anchor.
Yeah.
I know him as an announcer, an MC extraordinaire. I never knew that he could act. So he put his acting skills to test in Shirley Pimpon Manso's debut of her hit series, Dede. And listen, just take a look at this. I understand it's currently showing on the Aquaba channel, so if you want to see Nathaniel in action, please.
You know what this reminds me of? The promo we did for Kotoko and Heart.
that clash, and
he was like
a
judge.
Movie. Yeah.
Could that be the audition?
Yeah.
He perhaps unknowingly auditioned for this role.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Shelly, when am I auditioning?
Yeah, Shelly, when am I featuring? When are we featuring? But that'd be over showbiz.
Our producer is saying something.
Yeah, he said gangster or something.
Yeah, I can be anything.
Yeah.
Thank you, Noella, for bringing us the latest. That's it for showbiz. We have more stories for you. Please stay with us. Thanks for staying with us here on Joy News Prime. Now, Chairman of the Volta Regional Security Council, Dr. Archibald Letcher, says the suggestion for a declaration of a state of emergency in Qatar following the storm surge there is unnecessary. The storm has displaced over 3,000 residents, destroyed several properties, and taken the livelihoods of the people. MP for Qatar Kwame Gatpe, addressing the media in Parliament, bemoaned government's approach in responding to the plight of the people. He urged the president to declare a state of emergency there.
The president will be traveling to Cape Verde to go and witness presidential swearing in. When the people of Qatar, the coast, are devastated, instead of a government who should take prompt action and visit the people, they are going to ceremony. They are going to ceremony to go and, climate ceremony. When people are dying, emergency, state of emergency in Qatar, Katu South, and then Anglo, should be declared. But here we are today. The relief items are supposed to be prompt and swift. Nothing is happening. And then we are raising these germane issues, and then you say that this has been happening long ago. This is not. In Qatar, there are some communities like Keji Copper, for more than 40 years, they haven't experienced this before. But now it's happening.
But the Volta regional minister says that will not be necessary. In an interview with Evans Mensah, he also responded to claims government hasn't attached any sense of urgency to the dire situation in Qatar and its environs.
No, I think that as of now, the situation now is much, much better than it was on Sunday. So we may not recommend, we are not in a position to recommend any drastic measures as of now. All that we have to need is to continue to support them with relief items and find a lasting solution to the problem that the people are facing.
Well, at the highest levels of government, are we going to see boots on the ground, say, from the president, the vice president, just to ascertain himself? Is it something that you are advising?
Yeah, we will see. You know, the president was out of the country, but the sector ministers are putting their heads together. I spoke with the information minister yesterday, and an arrangement is being made for government officials from Accra to visit the affected areas.
Today is Wednesday. Hasn't it taken too long for this to happen?
I am of the opinion that the most important thing is to address the needs of the people. That is my opinion. Now let us mobilize relief items to address the needs of the people. That is I think is my priority.
We'll take you to Fuveme, one of the communities where residents are still reeling from the impact of the devastation shortly. But first, Joy News is learning government is seriously considering the relocation and provision of an alternative means of livelihood as a permanent solution to the threat of the tidal waves on the coast of the Volta region. MP for Ketu South, Jifa Ablaguma, she says, while she is not against a long-term solution, these conversations are attempts by government to further delay the construction of the sea defense wall, which would provide some relief to the people.
We've always known that this will happen, and that's why the sea defense started years ago. I don't think we should be having this discussion now. It's done. We dealt with it. We agreed as a country that it was important to build the sea defense. The attempt by people to renegotiate and re-strategize and so on and so forth is just to buy time. And it's a delay tactic that we don't need right now. The communities where the sea defense is were not as badly hit as the ones that don't have any at all. So the evidence is there. It's clear that we do need the sea defense. And of course, yes, interim, I agree that we should find a decent place for the people to live, give them a warm meal to eat, to nourish them, because that's making sure they live in dignity. And so within the shortest possible time, that should happen. But did I not hear that in May when this happened?
Exactly.
Did I not hear that in 2017 when this happened? In 2017, this happened. Honorable Atachia was the Minister for Works and Housing. I was not in government, but I went there because I had concern for my people. I donated to them even in 2017. And we agreed even at that time that we must continue with the second phase. So I don't know what this discussion is all supposed to do.
Meanwhile, Director of Communications at the Presidency, Eugene Ayin, has indicated the President is exploring financial avenues to complete the Blakusu protection project.
Yes, the President has been apprised of this matter. I believe the Minister for Housing, Works and Housing has also made a comment on it, and he's indicated that currently government is in the process of finding the funds to complete phase 2 of this project. You recall that phase 1 of this project was completed in 2019, and I think sometime in April this year, feasibility studies for phase 2 of the project was completed. And as I said, God willing, very soon government should be able to find the funds to be able to do this. But once that happens, the Minister for Works and Housing would definitely apprise the country of whatever is supposed to take place with regards to that.
Meanwhile, at Fuveme, residents are resorting to palm fronds and thatch to build their houses, as they say it does not make economic sense to put up a concrete building which will be destroyed by the waves. Maxwell Adodba reports.
It is still high tide at Fuveme. The tidal waves that hit this community left in its trail uprooted coconut trees, collapsed residential structures and school buildings. 60-year-old Knowledge Diwanu giving instructions to a carpenter who is removing the roofing sheets of what he now describes as his former building. He says he was in his room when the disaster struck. Like him, many residents have lost hope that the situation will get better. He says many of them are now resorting to palm branches and thatch for their buildings, as they fear any other expensive material used will be a wasted investment.
I can say that I was born in 1974 in my house. This is my house. From here to the seashore is about 1,500 meters when I was very young. Okay. Yeah, 1,500 meters from the sea when I was very young. But up to this time, you can now see the sea from here is about 30 meters. So the sea is gradually coming, getting nearer to us. Since I was in 1980s to 1990s, the sea is coming gradually. We are shifting from concrete to coconut branches because of the sea waves. Because if you build the house, the sea destroys. Nobody do anything for us. In 1998, the sea destroyed the Fuveme land. It destroyed some part of the Fuveme land. Therefore, people relocated somewhere in part of the Fuveme again. But in 2016, the sea has destroyed the Fuveme again and destroyed the property of the government, that is the building of the school building. The school has been destroyed by the tidal waves in 2016. So they relocated and built another school at a new place called Agokeji. It's also a suburb of Fuveme. Agokeji is a suburb of Fuveme. So the engineers, they all come and make assess and they do the assessment that the school can be relocated there so that the sea will not destroy it. And by that time, the place where the school was relocated was about 1,000 meters from the sea. But now you can see it is about 25 to 30 meters from the sea, and the sea has destroyed the school too, and destroyed the property of the people, the houses and everything, the poultry, which people keep for their food, the sea has destroyed our properties, our houses too. And now, as I'm talking now, some of us, we don't have no place to sleep, and we don't have no food to eat too, because if the sea rough, we cannot go to fishing. So, and because of we don't get any place to sleep, we don't get any place to stay, going to work is a problem for us. So this thing is happening for a long time when we were very young, but no solution is coming for us, or nobody is helping us. So we are appealing for the government of Ghana today, the President, the Excellency of the Republic of Ghana, the Minister for Works and Housing, who is responsible for sea defense, should come to the village, the Fuvama, should come and see what is happening here. This thing happening here is very serious than any disaster happening in our coastal area here. The sea has destroyed it, and we remove the slate and put it somewhere, because we don't get any place to make another structure again.
Government's digitalization agenda is said to have necessitated the launch of several web and mobile applications aimed at making Ghana a beacon of digital innovations. Now, Joy News therefore conducted a survey from January 2021 to October 2021 on 7 apps created by state institutions for the Ghanaian public. The survey established that the apps are performing below expectations. Is the government allowing the millions of Ghana cedis invested in building these apps to go waste? Love FM's Chrissy Deborah has more in this report.
Well, I've used the electricity app, ECG app. At first, it was working perfectly, but lately, it has not been working.
Okay, I know the GPS. They advertised this, I found out. I used to find my house digital address, and I download it. I deleted it after.
Okay, I've heard about the GPS, but I heard it from a friend, but I've never used it before. I don't know what it is, and I don't know what it is used for. Like, I'm not familiar with it, but then I've heard about it.
Our survey saw the Ghana Post GPS come tops with more than 1 million downloads, followed by the ECG Power with half the number. Ghana Library gleaned more than 10,000 downloads. Citizens Eye, Ghana Water Company Limited electronic billing app, and Ghana.gov had downloads of 1,000, 500 and 100 respectively. We've also been analyzing the reviews of the selected apps, looking at both negative and positive comments, as well as the likes and the comments. The Ghana Post GPS recorded 869 comments and likes, with all of them being negative. We found complaints of app crashing during address saving and registration confirmation code problems that had persisted since 2017. The ECG Power recorded 2,045 comments and likes. The positive ones sadly managed 3.5% of this number. The Ghana Water Company electronic billing app garnered 2 comments and likes. Ghana PAYE was impressive with 100% positive comments, and Ghana Library made away with 73% positive comments. But their combined reviews, which couldn't even reach 50, wasn't enough to make practical analysis. Citizens Eye, GWCL electronic billing app and Ghana.gov, however, recorded 0 reviews.
So I actually downloaded, for the ECG app, I have downloaded it for some time now. I think about 2 months ago, but after registration, I've never been able to use it. Anytime I try to use it, after inputting the Momo details and everything, it gets back to me with an error. And I remember the day it happened, the first time I tried to, I called customer care and they said it is a known issue with Kumasi, but then still I don't get the thing to work. Okay. And that's for the ECG app. For the GPS, I actually tried downloading it yesterday. One thing I've realized that after installing the app, the GPS, Ghana Post app, every time the GPS changes, you can be sitting at one place and the GPS will change. The signals are not consistent, and for each of those times, you kind of get a different house number, okay? And I also keep getting notification from Haptel that don't share your code, so the code keeps changing and all that. So I went outside and also tried to do it under open air, because GPS signals are usually good under open air. And still, even standing at the same place, I kept getting different house numbers.
If I could just like log into a web platform and then just right away pick my location and then move on, it's doable. But then if I deny access to my location and then you try to restart the app, loop it up for me, I get frustrated and then I just uninstall it. And I don't do that again. So if, just like how Uber applications work, you can literally deny your location access, and then when you want to proceed to order for anything at all, you can just pick where you want to go to and then where you are, and then the system will still work perfectly for you.
So when the ECG app was developed, I was really happy about it, because the stress we go through to acquire our prepaid credits was about to go off. It started well. Later we had one or two issues. When you're even trying to connect, it tells you you don't have internet access, whilst you may. At times such messages does not mean you don't really have internet access. But at times you might have internet access, but the strength of your internet connectivity might be very down. Other situations you might have situations where the server might not really be working and might be giving you that challenges. As I said, always when there is a link to customers for them to send reviews on apps, it's going to help you to better the performance of that software. The ECG system is not a bad system. I believe if they review it, it's really going to solve the issue they intended solving with it. Once I was facing challenges, I didn't move on with it. I had to delete it because I needed some space on mine. That is how software users do see softwares. If it becomes a white elephant on their devices, they'll really delete it. Don't go ahead to support, because one, they never paid money to acquire that software. It was a software developed for them for free. So they won't really put in much effort if it's giving them an issue.
Reporting for Joy News, Kwesi Deborah.
Now, police in the northern region are investigating suspected arson at the St. Charles Senior High School in the northern region to bring closure to the several fire outbreaks that has gutted the school since 2016. The school has recorded over 5 fire outbreaks since 2016, with 3 fire incidents between May and September this year.
The St. Charles Senior High School has over the years suffered fire disasters, destroying several properties, including school dormitory blocks, officers' stores, student mattresses, books, clothes, among other properties. Just this year, the school has recorded 3 fire outbreaks. It is therefore on the back of these disasters that the school has involved the police to resolve the mystery. Northern Regional Crime Officer Superintendent Bernard Baba Ananga said 2 students of the school have been questioned in connection with the recent fire.
Was drawn to some fire outbreaks at St. Charles Secondary School. That was on the 1st September this year, that's 2021. And some properties were destroyed. The assistant headmaster for the school arrested and brought in some 2 juveniles with a report that they were seen in a dormitory with a matches box containing some sticks of matches and tissue. And one of the juveniles was in the dormitory closer to a particular mattress, allegedly soaked in petrol or with petrol. And they suspected that the said juvenile wanted to start some fires. So they brought him to the district police headquarters for investigations.
He said mattresses presented by the school as exhibit has been recovered and forwarded to the CID headquarters and subsequently to the standard board.
Conducted. We actually did see him, and the mattress was retrieved, forwarded to the CID headquarters for the Ghana Standards Board to do some analysis for us to find out whether indeed the mattress was soaked with petrol or other chemicals, and then what happened subsequently. Something which has been occurring, and then it suffered some destruction to properties, including some dormitories and offices, and some materials were burnt or destroyed by said places. For that matter, they wanted us to find out persons probably connected to this, or are perceived to be connected, or any suspects that probably might be responsible for these fire outbreaks.
He said the police are looking beyond the recent fires.
So for now, it is still open, our investigations. The reason being that this child was questioned this particular period this year. And the questions we also continue to ask is, how about from the 2016 upwards, who were the persons responsible? Could it be the same person who continued after this period? Could it be the same person who probably trying to recruit people to cause this kind of destruction? And then why would the school continue to build and then these things continue to happen? So these are questions that we need to answer, and that will draw a conclusion when we get all the answers to them.
Now, government says its management of the Ghanaian economy and the public purse sharply contrasts the assertion by the Catholic Bishop Conference that government has lost touch with the populace and reneged on its promise to protect the public purse. The bishops at a plenary assembly of the association in Wa questioned what it said was a lack of empathy from the government towards Ghanaians. The Director of Communications at the Jubilee House, Eugene Ahin, has been reacting to these and other issues at the presidential briefing. Presidential correspondent Elton Brobe reports.
The briefing focused on what has been done so far and what is ahead of President Akufo-Addo in the weeks to come. Now, top on the agenda was government response to publication that over 337 people attended the just-ended climate change conference in Glasgow, Scotland. A government response provided by the Director of Communication at the Presidency, Eugene Ahin, is that only 24 individuals were sponsored by the Presidency.
Let me state for the record that the government of Ghana did not send or fund 337 Ghanaians to attend COP26. Indeed, there are three categories of persons who were permitted to attend COP26. And these are: 1, United Nations and related organizations and agencies; 2, media and non-profit organizations with observer status; and 3, representatives of parties to the convention and observer states. I mean, from what we've seen so far, it has been shown that not all 337 persons who registered as participants indeed attended the summit. I mean, there were media personalities as well as reps from TSOs who were captured on the list of 337 persons, and who have also confirmed that their trip to Glasgow was not funded by government. So for the avoidance of doubt, let me place on record that the official presidential delegation, emphasis on presidential delegation, comprised of 24 persons, including the President, the Minister for Foreign Affairs, the Minister for Energy, the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, and the Minister for Environment, Science, Technology, and Innovation, as well as officials of the Presidency and Foreign Ministry.
Government also came under criticism by the Catholic Bishop Conference, who are of the view that government is not managing the economy well and the public purse, and that has given rise to hardship in the country and a feeling of hopelessness. Now, Eugene Ahin's explanation to the Catholic Bishop Conference criticism is that it is not grounded on facts.
Of particular interest to us at the Presidency are the comments made by the respected Catholic Bishop. Inasmuch as this administration is extremely tolerant of divergent views and welcomes criticisms of its work, we believe that these criticisms should be well-founded and well-grounded in fact, as this is the only way an honest conversation devoid of malice and propaganda can be held. You all recollect that the President took the oath of office on 7th of January 2017, and again on 7th of January 2021. And on both occasions, he pledged to protect the public purse, and that's exactly what he has done and he continues to do. Indeed, the transformation that has taken place in all aspects of national life point to an economy that has been well managed, a public purse that is being well protected, and the benefits are showing. Indeed, if President Akufo-Addo had superintended over the wanton dissipation of public funds, firstly, the Ghanaian people would not have reposed their confidence in him barely 10 months ago by returning a decisive margin of victory for him in the 2020 elections. Now, free SHS, which guarantees a minimum of senior high school education for all Ghanaian children and has already granted access to some more than 400,000 children, would not have been possible if the public purse was not being protected.
The president is expected to take a 1-week leave of absence from work after attending a UNESCO program. But also brewing in the country is the rising cost of fuel and its attendant effects on the populace. Now, the explanation from the presidency is that government has already removed 2 taxes on the petroleum buildup.
President Akufo-Addo will, from Saturday 13th November to Saturday 20th November, take a much-deserved, long overdue 7-day leave of absence, during which he has also accepted an invitation to preside over the panel that would adjudicate a debate in the French Parliament on the trial of progress on 19th of November. He's expected to come back to Ghana on Saturday 20th of November, and in his absence, the Vice President, Alhaji Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, will act in his stead. The Minister for Finance has already indicated that we have put in place 100 billion cedis to be able to implement this Ghana Cares Opata program, which will be able to help alleviate some of these problems. On the contrary, instead of imposing hardships, I don't think any president or anybody would delight in doing that to the citizenry. The Minister for Finance is due to read the budget on 15th November, and I'll just suggest that the former president should just take a chill pill and wait. And let's see how best the budget would address the concerns of the average Ghanaian.
From the Jubilee House, Elton Brobe reporting for Joy News.
Here in the studio, my name is Ernest Minu with Joy News Prime. We're taking a short break. When we return, we'll bring you more business stories. Stay with us.
In business, GCB Bank's mobile money platform, G-Money, has hit the 2 millionth customer service since its inception. Now, this complements effort by financial service providers to improve financial inclusion in the country. The platform, which was established in January 2020, sought to provide convenience to individuals and businesses by storing money and making transactions on their phones and their personal digital assistant devices. We have more in this report.
G-Money was established as the mobile money arm of GCB and launched its service on January 30, 2020. The brand is known for its services such as cash in, cash out, P2P transfer, airtime top-up, merchant payment, among others. The product has so far been able to rope in 2 million customers. Speaking at the campaign launch of the product, Deputy Managing Director of Operations at GCB Bank, Emmanuel Odate Lamte, said the growing customer base of the product is part of the bank's commitment to deepening financial inclusion.
We are pleased that our individual and corporate customers have acknowledged the value of G-Money products and services and are patronizing it. The growing customer base within this short time also demonstrates GCB's commitment to financial inclusion and leveraging technology to provide convenient, secure, and efficient services. G-Money's unique advantage is that it is a telecommunication agnostic service that allows customers to sign up and perform all mobile money transactions irrespective of their mobile network.
On his part, Head of Mobile Financial Services at the bank, Carl Ashi, shared the progress being made by the bank to provide convenient payment system to public institutions.
So we've established many partnerships. We are doing a lot of work in the agric and cocoa area. We are proud to say that in the just ended national census, the G-Money service was used to pay all enumerators. And that was close to about 70 to 80,000 enumerators across the country.
Some juicy packages like a brand new saloon car are up for grabs by lucky subscribers to the G-Money platform.
Automobile firm Toyota has launched Team Toyota, a unique spare parts support project developed for customers with vehicles considered as pre-owned. There is more in this report. Toyota Ghana will only sell wholesale spare parts to Team Toyota garages and jobbers across all 16 regions in Ghana. Presenting the products to dealers, the after-sales manager of Toyota, Idris Saidu, says the effort is to ensure genuine spare parts to all Toyota motorists in Ghana and also to affiliate with distinguished private garages that meet the standards and ethics of the Toyota company.
This Team Toyota. That is a concept, as my MD mentioned, a concept to target specific customers with specific vehicles that would allow them to be able to enjoy the quality service that Toyota gives, but at relatively very, very good pricing.
Meanwhile, MD of Toyota, Koji Yanaka, has been explaining the import of this product.
We conducted a market survey recently and realized that quite a number of Toyota used car customers have a preference for second-grade parts that are genuine and affordable in the pre-owned car segment. It is to satisfy this market demand that Toyota Motor Corporation has developed a unique product identified as IAM parts under the trade name Team Toyota.
Toyota has many cars in Ghana than any other automobile brand. Due to this, the company wants to get enough garages on the market to maintain its cars, thus deciding to support garages to service and sell their products. Well, Swiss-based nutraceutical company Rasha Ude says Ghana has great prospects and a stable hub for investment and business. According to her, unlike other African countries, the size of Ghana's market is key in attracting foreign investors, thus the decision to expand here in Ghana. She spoke to Joy Business after her team donated some immunity-boosting drugs and PPEs to the Mamobi General Hospital.
CEO and founder Rasha Udeb, who presented the items to the polyclinic whilst on a business trip to Ghana, said Ghana is one of the most stable countries in sub-Saharan Africa, highly business-friendly, and has a peaceful environment which is conducive for trade and commerce.
You know, Ghana is very safe country, and it's very good economy comparing to some other African countries. So we feel like establishing our brand in Ghana will bring a lot to us and will be a gate for the West African countries.
Rasha Ude is, however, looking forward to creating jobs for Ghanaians in the pharmaceutical industry.
We would like to hire some distribute Ghanaian markets. This is our plans. And this is what we are looking for, to find our representative in the market, to register in the FDA of Ghana, and to have a legally imported product to the Ghanaian market.
And that'll be it for business, but we'll leave you with a sum of international news. Just stay with us.
Hello there, thanks for joining me again for sport. I'm Hans Mensah. Accra Hearts of Oak, the reigning Ghana Premier League champions, are 110 years old today. Players, technical team members and fans cut a birthday cake just before the team's training session on Thursday morning. My colleague George Adu Jr. was there and comes through with this report.
So it's training that has turned into a bit of celebration right now, because today Accra Hearts of Oak celebrate 110 years of existence. So much has been put right in terms of the celebrations. There's going to be a lot more coming up throughout. But of course, today on the training grounds, right after training, head coach Samuel Wedu and his boys had to go in and cut a cake, and they did exactly that.
And of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
To me, what are the house ladies doing today?
Today is our day. Every 11 November, House Lady had a program for the club. And today, we are visiting 11 hospitals, giving 11 babies hampers filled with babies' items. We're giving them citation and marks. Then we're giving them mummies some envelopes so that they can use it to cater for the baby for some time. So this is a program. You could see our bars there branded. Yep. We are starting from Lakeman, then down to Asha Clinic.
Yep. So tell me, how excited are you on a day like this?
Very, very. Because I always remember this day, and we the ladies, if you ask, they'll tell you, we do something on this day. Yeah. We take this day a special day for the club, because this is the day the club was born. So if you see the lady, you could see the ladies well dressed. Yep. This is what we do. Normally we go to the secretariat and clean up the place, and we do that. So this time we are taking it. We want to catch them young, so that when they grow up, we're going to do this, and we're not going to leave it like this. Yeah. We'll take those ladies that are babies that are born. Yeah. We'll go to them. We'll visit them. We'll visit them, and then we see how the mothers take good care of them.
Captain, how special is today for you? How special?
Today is very, very special for me, because being a leader in Accra is 710 years anniversary. So I feel great.
I mean, from your training, you had to go and cut the cake. What did you make of all of that? Your boys cutting the cake, you cut cake all over your neck, your head, champagne.
Yeah, they said today is my birthday because I'm the leader of Accra Folk, so they're in a plain body as well. So they said today is my birthday, so that's why they designed me.
Everything like that.
Yeah. So I'm celebrating my birthday today.
Right. Maybe just a final word. What do you have to say to the fans?
Yeah, what I will tell them is that they should keep on praying for us. Things are not yet lost. Now that we started the season, the same when sometimes you can start the season well, but you can't end it well. But sometimes you cannot start it well, then you end it well. So now that we haven't started the seasons well, we hope to them, we pray to them. They should give us motivation and prayers that at the end of the season, they will see good things.
Thank you very much, Fatau, and happy birthday once again. So we have Communications Director of Accra Hearts of Oak, Kwame Opariado, joining us to tell us about what plans they have in there. But first of all, happy birthday. How's the feeling like?
Well, thanks very much. 110 years is a lot of years. We've gone through a lot of stages. We have achieved a lot, and we are most thankful to those guys that sowed the seed for this tree, for this religious tree. Yep. And we've gone a long way. We say congratulations to all those that held the baton at this time. At this moment, it is the board chairman, Togba Fede, who's leading the club in his with his wisdom and good leadership skill. The club has been able to achieve positive results on and off the pitch. So we say thank you to him, and we are appealing to every single House of Folk fan to continue to offer support to the club, so that everything will continue to work on well for us.
Excellent. We saw the razzmatazz right on the pitch after training, straight into cutting of cake, and we saw house ladies and all of that. So we've got that gathered on video really. But what are the plans? Is that all we have for the celebration?
No, this is something that we describe as a year-long celebration. it even goes back before this very day.
The jersey.
Yes, the jersey. If you realize that the launch of the jersey, we changed our logo as well. We added the 110 to it. And going forward today, it's just the cake cutting. From here, we are going to make sure that before the month end, before the year end, there will be a lot of activities. That will be big achievement for Accra House of Folk. So as and when we get there, we will let the public know about it. But I can tell you that so far what we have achieved in bringing the Common Value Club Alliance, this is a wonderful achievement. It will not be long that we will see the Bobbyman being commissioned. It will not be long that we see many others that will be coming in the way of Accra House of Folk. So all of this will form part of the 110 celebration.
Thank you very much. Definitely more to come here on the grounds. Accra Hearts of Oak 110. George Adu Jr. surely reporting from here.
We say happy birthday to Accra Hearts of Folk. 110 years, certainly quite a milestone then. That'll be all for sports. Later on at 10:30 p.m. On Funds, we'll run the rule over the performance of the Black Stars and their chances moving forward to that game against South Africa, Ernest.
Happy birthday to the Continental Masters.
Yeah.
Phobia.
Masters.
Nice one. So that's it for the bulletin. Many thanks for your company. You'll find many stories when you log on to myjoyonline.com.